and with you also, and there's many researcher here, and also practices of beekeeping. Yeah, like Pak Didik also, he already have many experience on beekeeping. And also there is Pak Purwanto, yeah, and Bu Rika Raffiudin, and Bu Dianita Kartika, Pak Ramadani Eka Putra, and Pak Ali Agus. Okay, I will just ask for short introduction for everyone. So maybe I will ask first for Pak Purwanto to introduce himself to us. Okay, Pak Hari.
Thank you, Pak Windra. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for Pak Didik for inviting me to the meeting. My name is Hari Purwanto. I'm working with the Faculty of Biology Gajah Mada, Universitas Gajah Mada from Jogja. And for a couple of years, I'm working with Stingless bees. Right now, I have a couple of projects. One of it with Professor Ali Agus to make a inventory of stingless bees, especially in Jawa and Kalimantan. And I also working with local honeybees, Apis cerana. And I think that's all for introduction. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Hari. And I think next is Dr. Bu Rika Raffiudin. Okay, please introduce yourself. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon, Yan and Bapak Ibu sekalian. Thank you very much for this very delightful short meeting in this afternoon. My name is Rika Raffiudin. I'm from IPB University, so in Bogor. Have you been to Bogor, Yan?
Yes, and actually been to IPB and arranging a collaboration for one of the companies I work for.
To what department?
So I met
IPB?
I don't remember the exact department, but it is an exchange we're organizing with University of Naples and our company there for biological pest control, bioindustries. We had a meeting with the dean and
what faculty?
with the whole management. It was 2 years ago. I have to look into it.
I remember Bu Rika. I think Copper, right? They came to IPB University like 2 or 3 years ago. We invited by Professor Iskandar.
Okay. Oh, so international program, yeah?
Yeah, I think Bulisdar joined the meeting. Bulisdar, who worked
it rings a bell
with fungi.
Okay.
Yeah, but I missed the meeting because I got a lecture that day. Yeah, please.
Okay.
But yeah, so I've been to Bogor.
Okay, that's good. So, but I'm still work from home since last year. Okay, so bees is my life. So yeah, my PhD is in social insects group in Australia with Professor Ross Crozier. So he is the ants professor, but myself I'm working with honeybees, and I'm working with the molecular behavior and also the systematics with the phylogenetics and all the basic science. But now in the 5 years, I work also with the ecology, with the Apis dorsata, the giant honeybees, that is very crucial because the habitats, you know, the all palm in Sumatra is everywhere, and also the monoculture everywhere there. So yeah, and since last year or this year, yeah, Pak Rama, we have a collaboration working with for the pollination in the organic farm. In myself is in Bogor, in our partner is in Bogor for organic farm. So yeah, in Indonesia we start asking also the Ministry of Agriculture, because honeybee is in KLHK, the Environmental and Forestry Ministry. But now, as you know, that in Australia, in Europe, bees mostly are in the Agriculture Ministry, yeah? But not in Indonesia, because we are still afraid with the pesticide, insecticide. So I think that we can start, if we want to start, people work with the organic farm, so it's more safe like that. So I think that's it for me, Pak Windra.
Thank you very much, Bu Rika. Now, Jan, you know there's a researcher from IPB University and also from UGM. Yeah, Gajah Mada University. Okay. Next, Bu Dianita, please. Sure.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dianita. Wie geht es dir, Jan?
Sehr gut, vielen Dank.
Yeah. My big brother is living in Stuttgart now. So,
Okay. It's always Stuttgart, Düsseldorf, or Kassel. One of those three.
Yeah, he moved from Aachen a few years ago. So, okay, let me introduce myself. Now I'm running my family's business, little business, which was started by my father. He was one of Indonesian pioneer for beekeeping in Indonesia. So now our bee farm produce honey and other bee products, and we also partnering with other bee farmers from Java and also from Riau. Now I'm more focusing on apiculture, especially, but I also interested in many activities done by the bees, because I think bees are incredible insects, very useful for our life. I'm living in Jakarta, nearby your town. I live in Pasar Minggu. It's also in South Jakarta, nearby Cipete. You live in Cipete, right?
Very close. Yes, it's very close.
Yeah, so now I'm interested in our topic because Pak Didik said that you are going to use the bees to pollinate some crops in Indonesia, or you already done it? You already done the
well, no, so probably we should get started talking about the activities that I would like to do a bit later, after we introduce everybody. But just briefly, no, we have not done any pollination work so far in Indonesia.
So you're starting to make it as a pollinator here now. So,
yeah, this is network building right now.
Yeah, it's very important for us. I think I'm not going to talk furthermore because there are more people have to introduce themselves. Thank you very much. Enough from me, Mr. Windra. Thank you.
Thank you, Budian. Okay, next, Pak Ramadani, please. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, Jan. My name is Ramadani Putra. Now I'm working in Agricultural Engineering Study Program of School of Life Sciences and Technology, Bandung Institute of Technology. My experience in bee is maybe not as much as others, but I'm mostly working in the how to calculate the. Now I'm working in the last 2 years how to calculate the economic benefits of the pollination by the stingless bees. I've been working with maybe 10 commodities from tomatoes, black peas, kabocha, and the last one is about we using stingless bee and calculate the economic benefit of using it to the shallot seed production by one of the seeding company in Indonesia. So basically, I'm working on the how we can have benefit from the stingless bees for the pollination system of some of Indonesia crops. Now we are working more in the some of local Indonesian crops and also with the how we apply these bees for the greenhouse setting in the some crops. We still not successful. There's some success story, but many unsuccess story regarding about how to apply this amazing creature to do the pollination. I guess that's my introduction. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Rama, for the introduction. And the next one is Pak Ali Agus. Monggo, Pak Ali.
Okay, great, Mas Windra. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Pak Didik, Pak Hari, Bu Rika, Bu Dianita, Ramadani, and of course, our colleague, Jans. Nice to see you. Just very brief introductions. My name Ali, so you may call me Ali. I'm from the Faculty of Animal Science, Universitas Gadjah Mada, the same as Pak Hari Purwanto. We established the team research on this area in apiculture. And also at our faculty, we established the course on the apiculture, one of the elective course for our students. We developed also a small laboratory, especially stingless bee. So this afternoon would be very nice to see you all, that we can discuss how the stingless bee can be empowered more, especially for the pollination of the some plant and so on. I think would be very interesting because the product of stingless bee also more and more attractive, yeah, for the consumer. Thank you, Mas Windra. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Pak Ali. Okay, should I ask Pak Didik for introduce himself? No.
Yes, very well known already.
Yeah, just more.
Thank you.
We've talked, but a brief introduction perhaps would be nice.
Okay.
My name is Didik. I am working with the Bess maybe since 68 maybe, and it is tight relationship among the people for the peace, and I still working for the people, supporting the people, and also supporting from the association to make a better living for the peace in the future of Indonesia. There's a nice opportunity to have the discussion here and meet the people here. Thank you, Pak Windra.
Thank you very much. And yeah, and the last one is me, Windra Priawandiputra. I'm from IPB University, just same like Rika Raffiudin. I'm from Department of Biology, IPB University. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, I think there's change to meet you like 2 or 3 years ago from corporate. Yeah, corporate industry. I think they came to Bogor to IPB, but unfortunately I cannot join the meeting. Yeah. But however, I really glad that we can meet here, and we try to improve and develop our stingless bee research to apply in many agriculture area, yeah, and to improve the economic also for the peoples in Indonesia. And of course, based on that, we would like to hear about your experience. It's not only in Indonesia, but you also can talk about your experience in I think Copert is from Netherlands, right? Right. Okay. You can also talk about that, and you can introduce also your education background and until your working experience. Okay, John. I think time is yours. Everyone, very interested to see what you want to talk about right now. Please, time is yours.
All right. Thanks, everybody. It was really interesting to hear from all your activities, and thanks for taking the time. First of all, I need to point out that I am now not specifically talking in the name of Koppert. So I'm talking as an individual right now, who sees an opportunity to develop the stingless bees in Indonesia for pollination. But you're right. So I do work for Koppert Biological Systems, and I'm the global manager for new business and technologies at Koppert in the Netherlands. And right now I'm stationed in Indonesia to explore the market here and find opportunities to bring Koppert products to Indonesia. And then for that purpose, set up a subsidiary. Now, Koppert, of course, is known for biological pest control. So beneficial insects is what they became big with, especially predatory mites. But also parasitoids, so insects that lay eggs and pest insects, and later on microbial products like bacteria, fungi, and viruses that kill pest insects and diseases. And about, when was that? 30 years ago, Koppert started moving into bumblebees for pollination, one of the first companies in Europe. And that was specifically for greenhouse pollination, because honeybees can't be used very well in greenhouse environments. And by now, Koppert produces industrially bumblebees on 3 continents, North America, Europe, and Asia, over 1 million colonies every year. And we are selling those not only in greenhouses anymore, but also in outdoor crops. So we're competing with honeybees directly. And also some markets like blueberries, which are usually pollinated by solitary bees. Yeah, so that's what I do for Koppert, and Koppert has entered the Indonesian market already, but not with the main range of products. We acquired a company recently that produces black soldier flies. You probably know that for insect meal, insect protein production, Koppert has been developing automation technologies for that for about 15 years now. So before this whole industry was created. And so we picked a company in Indonesia to get a foothold here. And now we're setting up a factory in Pekanbaru for several hundreds of tons of production per week. And through that company, we're also going to start importing different biocontrol products. And yeah, I've met a lot of horticulture companies here, high-tech greenhouse companies, and some of them told me that they actually use Koppert products already. And I was confused, like, how do you get them? Because we're not selling them here. And so they fly to Europe, they fly to Holland, they buy them, they obtain their own import permits, and they bring them to Indonesia. I saw the import permits, it's actually all legal. But it's very expensive because they pay per individual, so per insect, which is too expensive. And also we don't really appreciate it. They also brought bumblebees here, and we don't want that. We have bad experience with that. In countries like Chile, where the government did issue permits to import bumblebees and release them, but they established. And we don't want that to repeat in Indonesia, so we'd rather people don't use them here. But then the question is, how else are we going to offer a pollination service? And so that's where I see a gap personally. And even though I do not have the declared mission within COPPAT to develop a pollinator for Indonesia, I will pursue that. And I'm trying to forge alliances right now to identify the most attractive pollinators for different horticultural crops. Yeah, set up research that goes towards that. As additional info, I also have my own company in Indonesia, Canopy Guard, which COPPAT is invested in. And we are specialized on pollination of oil palm. So we have developed a process to produce Eladobius, the only oil palm pollinator in Indonesia. And we're using a COPPAT drone system to spread these insects in the plantations after covering them with oil palm pollen. So they act as vectors of the pollen, basically. Later this year, we're gonna have the proof of concept starting together with IOPRI, Indonesian Oil Palm Research Institute, which we have a partnership with. And yeah, it's going to be supported by the Oil Palm Fund. So the government is supporting that. So we have some activities in pollination already, but very specialized. And yeah, the stingless bees, I believe that they are very comparable to bumblebees in many ways in terms of colony size, nest size. But they're even more simple to handle. So obviously they can't sting. The colony production might be far easier than with bumblebees. But of course, there's quite some bottlenecks. So right now, in my understanding, most beekeepers split their colonies once per season or once per year. And that would not be feasible if we were to develop them for an industrial pollination offering. So there's basically two lines of work that I think have to be pursued. For one, among all this big diversity of stingless bees, we need to find the right fit with the different crops of interest. So which species of Trigona or the whole group of Meliponine bees, which one of those is best at pollinating the different crops, and then set up industrial production methods. So in vitro production of queens, for example, and mass production of callow workers to transfer to young colonies. So what I intend to do is do first a low-level research on screening for potential pollinators for different crops. And that's where I would love to tap into your experience, practical in terms of beekeeping, but also what you've done in research already, Ramadani, so that we don't replicate things that have been done before. And then when we have candidate species, try to produce them more efficiently. So setting up a wet lab and with incubation chambers, with laminar flow hoods, some tinkering place where we could have some students, for example, stationed that play around with different starting points for or ideas for mass production of stingless bees. So yeah, and for background, I don't have a technical degree, so I studied business, but I've always been into social insects. Always kept ants as pets, traded them as a kid, because there were other people who kept them as pets too, and they wanted them. And yeah, started working at corporate and business development, and they loved it because I understand the technical side and the business side. So I'm at the intersection between those, as you might have seen.
Okay, wow, that's very interesting. You talk about many things, and I also surprised when you said that many corporate biological system products already entered the Indonesia, and also bumblebee. Did they? Some of Indonesian already introduced a bumblebee in Indonesia. Is it right? No,
Well, I'm happy to say that they are dead.
they are dead.
um,
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure because
no, so I met
I'm,
one grower.
oh really,
Hmm. No,
really?
I met one grower who obtained an import permit directly himself, and he flew to the Netherlands, brought them back here, and put them into a greenhouse.
Uh-huh,
And we would not have supported that. We didn't know.
uh-huh.
We can't know if they buy a product in the Netherlands, they can do with it whatever they want, and they can bring it here if they have a permit. But yeah, the colony quickly died since the climate didn't
Oh,
fit.
okay. So they cannot adapt the bumblebee, the Bombus terrestris, right? Yeah,
Well, we
is it
produce different species of
different species
bumblebees.
of bumblebee? Okay,
Oh, we produce different species, but yes, the main one is Bombus terrestris.
Bombus terrestris.
But of course, in the highlands of Java, there are two species of bumblebees.
Yeah.
And since Copper already produces different species, it could be worth considering to tweak the production methods to also produce those. But then that would limit the range in which we can use the product much more than stingless bees. Because if I'm not mistaken, they can only live above 700 meters. So it would be quite limited.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And what I would like to
Yeah.
do, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard about
So
many about Bombus terrestris and some bumblebee, which very invasive species, which can disrupt the ecosystem, especially for native bees in Japan, in some part of yeah, like you said before, Chile and Japan also. Then yeah, I graduate from Japan, so I read some of the paper about that. And however, they use the bamboos for the uh, greenhouse agriculture. Yeah, they use it, and some of them also use Apis mellifera for pollination in the greenhouse. So yeah, I don't know. I just surprised when you said what bumblebee already introduced to Indonesia. Just like, oh, how can? Just like, okay. And now,
well,
but thank you for the information anyway. Yeah.
well, I
Just
don't have proof of it, but that's what one grower told me. And yeah, at some point we were selling bumblebees also in garden centers in Holland to private individuals. But yeah, that just doesn't offer enough control over it. Many of our competitors are also buying bumblebees over proxies so that they can use our varieties in their production. And so we stopped that and have much tighter control over that now. Yeah.
yeah. I think your experience on that is very useful for us to develop the benefit of local bees in Indonesia, which can pollinate many crops. I think then improve the quality and quantity of crops, like you said before, and it also give you the economic value also. Yeah, and
Yeah.
some of my research also using stingless bee. I use three species of stingless bee. The one is Tetragonal lavicep, and Heterotigona itama for some crops, especially the recent one. I use it for okra, yeah, and we calculate the number of seed, and it's really significantly different. Unfortunately, there's no significant difference on the antioxidant concentration like flavonoid and others. Yeah, but for the seed, they really give change with Stingless bee species. I think one of our participant here also have many experience on that. Yeah, and I think I will just open a discussion session for everyone who want to ask or want to discuss about experience with Yan. Yeah. Please, anyone?
Okay, Yan, I would like to know
Parama.
about what do you like to know about the study? Do you need a note about the effectiveness of this particular stingless bee species, or do you also need the effect of the benefit that will be gathered by the farmers when they're using that specific species? Because we conduct also the technical study, because I'm in engineering in the agriculture engineering, so we have to develop a system how to apply this pollination system and how it will be benefit in the term of economic level. Would you like to know about that kind of information?
Anything you can share. Of course, I did read some of your publications, so I have some of that knowledge already. But yeah, I think what is necessary is to create a database, basically, of all the connections between the different stingless bee species and how they perform in different crops in different settings.
Okay.
So protected, open field,
yes,
different altitudes, and pesticide application, no pesticide application. So basically to create a single file where we can put in as much data as possible, share that of course, and because that's an important element, openness of data. So I see that as promotion if we're going to set up a business with pollination eventually. If the data is open, that's great, because it's just going to promote the use. But yes, so like creating a single point with all the info on the combinations, the species, crop, condition combinations as a first screening for the different species as candidates. Kopat has a particular interest or has an interest in particular crops. Some that are not so interesting. That's oil palm. I heard that there's some activities in oil palm, but well, I have a special interest because I have my own company working in pollination of oil palm, and I'm convinced that Elidobius is going to be the best solution. But yeah, oil palm and rice. Rice is not relevant, obviously. The next relevant crop would be tropical fruits. So mango, rambutan, citrus. So those would be of interest. And then of course, vegetables. So tomato, chili. On chili, you did work already, I know.
And tomato, and we have in cucumber, okra, zucchini, and we also conduct in some mulberry, mulberry, and some berry species. Now we are working in some squash species, but I'm working only in one species, Yan. I have no. I'm working in because I would like to gather as much as information for this particular species, what is best for them, what is not best for them. I'm more willing then to share to you about the pollination efficiency of these 10 crops we already done. Now we're working more to add mango, citrus, some exotic fruits, something like that. So if you're talking about mango, we have about 30 types of mangoes in Indonesia. What maybe you can specific what kind of mango you would like to have, because actually we found that when we use different kind of varieties, they act differently, because some kind they have differences in the term of the stigma, maturity, and the amount of nectar produced in some particular area.
And which season even, right? There's ever-bearing mangoes and there's seasonal mangoes. So
yes,
naturally.
It's quite different because, and another thing, the species I'm working on is they're kind of aggressive species, but they tend to slowing down in the peak of the day. So but on the other hand, maybe other person in here know better than me. We have just like dead visitation rate in the middle of the day actually. So they best in the early or in the late afternoon. Our hypothesis is because they tend not to what to say, do some they don't like other bees to join them in the hunting for the food. So that's the problem with live insect, and we have problem in the low temperature. So I'm trying in paprika actually last year, basically failure because the bees cannot get out from the very cold temperature below 18 degrees Celsius. So that's the limitation in my species, the species that I'm working on. But I haven't tested another species like Thoracica. One species I particularly interesting is the Minangkabau from the West Sumatra. It is very small, and you can put that the colony size maybe roughly only 100 or 200, but they're widely active, and then their small size is very good for the high value crops. For example, avocado, mangoes, or not citrus, but a very high value. For example, and I'm thinking about spices, Jan.